Hey, self-helper, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? So, uh, today's topic of the day is negative automatic thoughts. What are you thinking about? And that's what I want to know. Make sure you leave your questions uh, in the live chat and tell me what you want to learn about. That's really important. And yes, of course, make sure that other people can join us. Share this link. If you're watching this in the replay, sure you watch this at 1.5 times the normal speed so that you can get through the content a lot faster. And of course, negative automatic thoughts. Oh my God, also called automatic negative thoughts. These are the worst thing that can possibly happen to your life because they have this domineering power. They have this ability to just take control of everything. And ultimately, not only does it shape our thinking, but also how we behave in different situations. So important to consider. And a great degree to a lot of us, we are able to challenge these at some point of time, and ultimately, we're able to laugh at ourselves sometimes and say, how can we be, this stupid? I can't really believe that I was thinking, so small. It was all me when I look at it. So this kind of thought process that I was a captive of my own mind. That is one concept that is so important to understand. And probably at the end of this video, you can recognize all 6 of these characteristics of negative thoughts so that you can also be more aware of how you're thinking in different situations and systematically apply it to not only think more positive, but behave and act more positively. So that's about it. So make sure you ask your questions. I want to know what is going on with your life. Hey, N Tom 438. How do I motivate myself to read? I want to be more fundamental, but I find myself lazy too. Yeah. So that's definitely relevant to this video because negative automatic thoughts play a very important role in how much we are able to motivate ourselves, and also just the amount of laziness that we are, a victim to. So possibly if you create that mental shift, then it's going to make a big difference for you. So as you recognize your negative thinking pattern, then it systematically gets better for you. So, whenever we look at this, it's important to understand that if you do not recognize and challenge a negative thought, it's very likely that this will carry on for a length of time. That's the power of a negative thought. Now, we aren't exactly negative thinkers, but we are, in a way, innately born to think negatively. I hope that makes sense. We don't want to be negative, but we have this perception, we have this belief that, why am I so negative? Why can't I get around this? There's a reason for that. In your own life, tell me about a time when you were only thinking positive and it was just dominating everything. A lot of us would not be able to, immediately come up with one particular situation that may have been like that. We are innately designed to avoid pain. Because of that reason, we first think negatively and then we possibly look at other positive results. And the emotional aspect of it, the strength of a negative emotion is in many ways a lot, like it can act a lot faster when compared to something like a positive thought. It takes more time for you to see the reality of it, the actual situation, for what it is, the real facts. For you to see that, it takes some time because that actually, if you want me to explain the neurobiology to you, it's because someone has uh, the amygdala and the hippocampus, they play a role in activating the emotional part of the brain. And once a message travels from the spinal cord, it first runs through the emotional brain. And this emotional brain works 80,000 times faster than the front part of your head, which is the prefrontal cortex, the one that is responsible for decision making and actually thinking accurately. So when this works 80,000 times faster than this part of the brain, it's very likely that you are going to, not going to think positively at first. You're going to think about, the emotion that you're experiencing first. So that's why emotions are super powerful. And especially when negative, they can really make a big impact in your life. So if there is some negativity that comes your way, it's very likely that it can get transferred. You can hold on to it for a length of time, and then it gets transferred to future situations. So negative automatic thoughts were first described by Beck, a very famous cognitive psychologist. And he says that these are streams of thought. If we notice them, we pay strong attention to them, but we focus on the negative framing a lot more. And then we form our own negative interpretations of what is exactly happening to us. That's how a negative automatic thought works. And whenever they occur, it usually has a strong impact on your mood and feelings. Now, I know in your own life, there's a very strong possibility that you can relate to this. The ability for it to captivate your mind and change how you think and feel about yourself, that is super powerful. And that's what a negative thought can do to you. So I want to know, what are these situations in which you are thinking negatively? That is what I want to help you out with today. So ask your questions in the live chat, and also tell me, what you want to see in future videos. I'm very curious about that. So, yeah, so I also have thoughts about my ex-girlfriend. I've been having that for the last 3 years. Okay, well, let's just wait until the end of the video. I'll be telling you exactly how to recognize your negative automatic thoughts, and also check out my video on how to come out of this negative attitude. Probably link it here once this live stream is over. So you can check that out, and it'll help you out with dealing with these negative issues that you're facing right now. So what can negative automatic thoughts do to you? Well, they have this power to, they lead to self-doubt, they lead to anger, they lead to depression, they lead to anxiety, they lead to irritability, and they lead to a low mood. So much impact from one or two simple negative thoughts, and it doesn't take much to actually have them come into your head. That's why it's important to recognize them. I mean, they aren't helpful, they aren't really doing anything positive for you. Yet if you choose to accept them and believe them, or you choose to ignore them, not challenge them, and still believe them, then they are more likely to have a stronger influence in your life. And this, over a period of time, can affect your life in so many ways. And a lot of people have clinical depression and clinical anxiety for this particular reason. It can really take over so many aspects of your life. When you look at negative automatic thoughts, it's not only connected with how you think about it, but also what you say. And that's very interesting, because there is a strong connection between what we think, what we say, how we say it, and the context in which we represent it. When we think negatively, it's systematically signaling everything else, the behavior, that is to say something in a particular context, that I have to be a certain way. And without that, the situation doesn't change, or the situation is immune to change regardless of what I do. So starting off with what you say. So when you say something negative, that is almost 30% of where this negativity is coming from. Imagine me saying this to myself: I am not capable of talking on camera. Immediately look at the words that I'm using. I Very personal. I have made it just for me, and then I am not going to be able to talk on camera. I cannot express myself properly on camera. I cannot deliver the message that I want to deliver. I tell myself this, and that becomes, the first step towards, crumbling. I am very negative. I cannot think positively. Systematically, the tone of voice, the second part, how I say it, that shifts over to the next 30%, that I am saying it a certain way, and that immediately draws out, takes away even more positive energy. The likelihood of me, expressing this positivity on camera gets taken away, and then moves on to the next one, that is your the way you're saying it. And then lastly, the third thing, which is I how the context in which you're saying it. I am on camera right now and I'm saying these things to you, and systematically it's the message is going across, and I still feel that it's not coming together. So what you say, first of all, what you think, what you say, how you say it, and the context in which you use it, all of these are critically important if you are going to not only become aware of your negative thought process, but also have any possibility of changing it. So constantly look to be aware and use all six of these processes that I'm going to tell you, so that you can identify your negative thoughts and frame them in a much better way, so that you don't have any problems later on. So make sure you ask me your questions if you're just joining me here on this live chat, and watch this video in 1.5, the normal speed, so that you can get through the content a lot faster if you're watching this in the replay. So, how do you identify a negative thought? Simple. Number one, I just missed that turn on that motorway and now I am useless. I called someone and they didn't pick my call up, and now I consider myself useless. I'm no good. What does it say about me? It tells me that these negative automatic thoughts, quite simply, are always negative. They are always being framed in this, they have this negative connotation, and that affects everything that systematically follows. I mean, they frame the situation in a way that we don't want it to be, and also the possibility of ever changing it also diminishes. So they are always negative. The strong impact that they have with regard to being able to dominate how we think in different situations, that is the power of a negative automatic thought. And secondly, the second way you can recognize a negative automatic thought is they make you feel bad about yourself. It's very personal. They are all about us, and that's very important to consider, by the way. There is a great degree of absolutism that we attach to a negative automatic thought, with the if not this, then nothing else. That amount of attachment is what we have with a negative automatic thought. So we try to apply it to just ourselves, or just to someone else that we are talking about negatively, or every situation and every single person that may come across this issue. That's how a negative automatic thought can dominate. So number one, like I said, they are always negative, and secondly, they make you feel miserable about yourself. I am useless, my life is going nowhere. This is the amount of the ability to capture what is going on in our mind. That's really important. Number three, they are self-sabotaging. Now, have you downplayed yourself if you've ever had a negative automatic thought, I know I have. There have been so many situations where I've told myself, I'm no good, so what's the point of even trying? We look at anyone who may be clinically depressed or anxious. They can be easily, cajoled into believing exactly what they're thinking, because they're already, they already have a negative framework of themselves at that point of time, and you can easily worsen it, because the ability of a negative thought to self-sabotage, you tell someone that you aren't good enough, it invites more and more apathy. What it does to your self-esteem, it just tends to worsen. And if you're a sportsman, you have this potential to fall into this trap that if I have failed before, the likelihood of me failing again is very high. And that's it's just a systematic process. I mean, just look at it this way. If you think about it, how is your body going to feel? If you say it a certain way, how are you going to perceive the situation? And if the situation is itself going to end up with a negative outcome, it's going to be a negative outcome. That's how it works. That's the power of what your mind can do for you, or do to take away what you want for yourself. So they are self-sabotaging. They have this ability to damage what you think or perceive about yourself. Number 4, they are uninvited. Have you ever been to a wedding where you see these people who shouldn't actually be there? You've been to this birthday party where, you didn't invite that person, but they're still there. That is the ability of a negative automatic thought. They are uninvited. They don't tell you that they're going to come in, but when they do come in, they stick around, and then they cause misery to everyone and just create a mess. So, truth be told, if you are so harshly critical of yourself, the ability of, if you're a victim of your own self-doubt, things like these statements coming in, I'm really selfish, I am always, whining about how things are not working out, I can't change the situation. This tends to repeat itself, and it just tends to walk in. So uninvited negative thoughts are, that's a really real issue. Try and see under what circumstances you are facing these negative thoughts. It's a high likelihood that there is a certain pattern with which they occur. There will be certain situations in which you are going to be more negative than other situations. And once you have these in front of you, maybe writing them down, it's an assignment for you, by the way, writing them down and recognizing them as, oh, I see that these are happening in these particular situations. Now, what can I do to change it? That kind of thought process is always going to be helpful. So that was number 4. Number 5, they are believable. If someone told you that you are a certain person who thinks a certain way, behaves a certain way, how would you feel? You're a sportsman and your competitors are always telling you, you're no good, you're never going to beat me, you're never going to win. What does it do to you? You start to tell yourself what that person told you, and every single loss reinforces that belief, that self-sabotaging belief that I am not good enough, that I do not have the potential or the power to come out of this. You have this perception that you are not really that great, that other people have this potential to take advantage of you, and people are ruthless with regard to this. I mean, they have this ability to, take all of that negativity that you have, and they have this ability to amplify it. A lot of people tell you that they want you to become successful. They want you to, get better at what you're doing, but it's not usually the case. They probably don't want the best for you. And that's what they want you to believe, that they want you to become successful. But it doesn't actually happen that way. So these negative automatic thoughts tend to become believable over time, especially if we have our own insecurities, our own self-doubt. They tend to dominate what we are thinking. So if you're someone who is susceptible to making mistakes, being clumsy in different situations, you start to accept what these negative thoughts tend to hold. The value of a negative automatic thought is exponential. Either you can ignore it, or you can think of it as, I am thinking this way right now, this is what I'm facing, this applies only to this situation, and I am going to find different ways in which I can tackle this. I can find a way to come out of it. And number 6, the last one, they are biased. Remember that negative automatic thoughts are only telling you one side of the story, and they tend to distort and tell you that everything is wrong, that it's never going to change. Because once you did badly at one thing, that's going to carry over to every single occasion in which you are going to try and come out of this. Your negativity is not only going to carry over to the next situation and then the next, and so on and so forth, but it's going to lead you to perform badly. It's going to take over your thought process for every single situation. This particularly affects a lot of people if they're injured or they're not able to perform at a level that they are usually able to perform at. And for them to come out of this and rediscover their confidence, rediscover that they have this ability, they have the willpower to actually destroy this stress that is holding them back. These are the people who are able to empower themselves and actually go about accomplishing what they want. And when you look at it in this fashion, that these are actually redundant thoughts, that they do not define who you become. They are not absolute, they are not all defining. That is when you are most likely to actually go about changing the situation. The likelihood of you coming out becomes much stronger when you identify them. So once again, going through all 6 of the ways that you can identify your negative automatic thoughts. Before you do that, remember, you have to identify what you think, how you say it. I'm sorry, what you think, what you say, how you say it, and the context in which you're saying it. These 4 things. And next, write down under what circumstances you are going about actually doing all of this. What are the situations in which you are spending more time doing things in this fashion? And then go about recognizing the characteristics of negative automatic thoughts. And then after that, you'll be able to start changing it. So once again, all 6 of the different characteristics of negative automatic thoughts. Number 1, they are always going to be negative. They are always going to be self-sabotaging. They are going to make you feel miserable about yourself. Oh, really bad ones. And they are uninvited. They have this ability to capture whatever is going through your mind and just dominate. They have this ability to take over whatever is going on in your mind. They are very believable. This reinforcement of a self-belief is the most important thing. Someone who is successful is going to improve their self-belief. They are going to believe that I have the potential. I am constantly stacking upon my previous performance and I am getting better and better. Whereas someone who is constantly failing, they look at themselves, I am not good enough, the performance drops. I am not I'm not able to come out of this, performance drops. I think this applies in almost all situations. Again, the performance drops. This is happening only to me. This degree of negativity is super powerful. And once you recognize it, then you come to understand what it is actually doing to you. And then you can think about actually coming out of it. And lastly, they are biased. They give you only one side of the story. create opinions about you. How you perceive yourself is what a negative thought has the ability to do. So, how do you shift this to positivity? For that, I suggest you watch my video on how to defeat your negative attitude. Again, link will be right up here and down in the description box below. I'll leave that for you. Make sure that you are well aware. The most important step when it comes to looking at negative automatic thoughts or just your usual everyday negative thinking, they are going to be there, they are going to occur. But it's important to be aware of them, recognizing when they happen, under what circumstances, and then you have the ability to actually defeat them. You are not a prisoner of your own mind. You are not a victim. You have this potential to overcome anything that may stand in your way. And when you recognize that, that is the change. I mean, that is the point where you recognize that I have the ability to change, that I'm in control of my own mind. I am the master of what I think. That is when you are able to actually go about creating a systematic change in your life and creating that positivity, creating that positive mental attitude that is going to help you out in your life. So I hope you found this live stream useful. If you did, make sure you leave it a thumbs up and tell me what you thought about it down in the comment section below, and leave your questions as to what you want to see on this channel, because I am dedicated. I'm pushing out videos every single day for you so that you can become the best version of yourself. I want to have you motivated. I want to have you empowered. I want to have you performing better in every single area of your life so that you become you really become that best version of yourself. That is my goal for you. And as your coach, I really want to see you shine. So once again, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so that those videos come straight to you. Lots of videos. It's going to be hundreds of videos coming up really soon. I'm very excited, and there's so much of content out there. So much. I'm very excited for all of you to see that and actually benefit from it, because this is stuff that I lacked when I was growing up, and this is my chance to give back to you so that once you have it in your hand, you can apply it in your life. So that's more or less what I wanted to share. Be aware of your negative automatic thoughts. You have the ability to defeat them. This is Vikram signing off, and I'll see you in the next session. See ya.